In 711, troops mostly formed by Moors from northern Africa, led by fucking computer, turn off, man. Umad conquest of Hispania. The Iberian Peninsula then came to be known as the Classical Arabic as Al-Andalus, which at its peak included most of the Septimania in modern-day Spain and Portugal. In 827, the Moors occupied Mazara on Sicily, developing it as a port. They eventually went on to consolidate the rest of the island. Differences in the religion and the culture has led to the centuries of long conflict within the Christian kingdoms of Europe, which tried to reclaim the control of the Muslim areas. This conflict was referred to as the Reconquista. In 1224, the Muslims were expelled to Sicily, to the settlement of Luceria, which was destroyed by the European Christians in 1300. The fall of Granada in 1492 marked the end of Muslims' rule in Spain, although a Muslim minority persisted until their expulsion in 1609. Now, people ask, what do the Moorish people look like? I'm going to get some pictures of the African Moors, but to round it up, the Moors they came from northern Morocco and western Algeria and the Spanish cities of Ceuta and Melilla. The Berber tribes of the region were noted as the classical Maori, which was subsequently rendered as the Moors, and English is related variation in other European languages. In 711, the Islamic Arabs and Moors of the Berber descent in northern Africa crossed the Strait of Gibraltar onto the Iberian Peninsula in the series of raids as they conquered the Visigothic Christian Hispania. Their general Tariq ibn Ziyad brought the most of Iberia under Islamic rule in an 8-year campaign. They continued northeast across the Pyrenees Mountains, where they were defeated by the Franks under Charles Martel, the Battle of Tours, in 732. The Maghreb fell into the civil war in 739 that lasted until 743, known as the Berber Revolt. The Berbers revolted against the Umayyads, putting an end to the Eastern dominion over the Maghreb. Despite racial tensions, Arabs and Berbers intermarried frequently, and a few years later, the eastern branch of the Umayyad dynasty was dethroned by Abbasids, and the Umayyad Caliphate overthrown in the Abbasid Revolution, 746 to 750. Probably, I don't know if it's, you guys will know. But Al-Bahad Rahman, who was the Arab Berber lineage, managed to evade the Abbasids and fled to Maghreb and then Iberia, where he founded the Emirate of Cordoba and the Andalusian branch of the Umayyad dynasty. The Moors ruled northern Africa and Al-Andalus for centuries thereafter. Ibn Hazm, the polymath, mentions that many caliphs in the Umayyad Caliphate, the Caliphate of Cordoba, were blonde with light eyes, and the Ibn mentions that they preferred blondes and notes where they had much interest in blondes, and the Al-Andalus amongst the rulers of the regular Muslims. The languages spoken in the parts of the Iberian Peninsula under Muslim rule were Andalusian Arabic and Moorzebic. They became extinct after the expulsion of the Moriscos, and the Arabic influence on the Spanish language can be found today. The Muslims were resisted parts of the Iberian Peninsula in the areas of northwest, such as Asturias, where they were defeated at the Battle of Covadonga, and the largely Basque country in the Pyrenees. Though the numbers of Moorish colonists were small, many natives, Iberian inhabitants, converted to Islam. By 1000, according to Ronald Segal, some 500,000 of Iberia's 700,000 inhabitants. Most of them were descended from the indigenous Iberian converts, were Muslim. There were also sub-Saharan Africans who had been absorbed into Al-Andalus to be used as soldiers, as slaves. The Berber and the sub-Saharan African soldiers were also known as Tangerines because they were imported through Tangier. The Caliphate of Cordoba collapsed in 1031, and the Islamic territory in Iberia fell under the rule of the Almohad Caliphate in 1153. The second stage was guided by the version of Islam that was behind the more tolerant practices of the past. Al-Andalus broke up under the number of taifas, or fiefs, which were partly consolidated under the Caliphate of Cordoba.